Hey, SnapFlash fam! Botswana has lost a true legend, a woman who shattered glass ceilings and paved the way for generations to come. Dr. Gaositwe Chiepe, a national icon, has been laid to rest at the age of 102. Who was Dr. Chiepe? How did she shape Botswana's future? And why are leaders calling on Botswana to uphold her legacy? Stick around as we unpack the life and impact of this extraordinary woman. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to SnapFlash for more in-depth coverage on Botswana's biggest stories. Over the weekend, Botswana bid a final farewell to Dr. Chiepe, a pioneer in politics, education, and diplomacy.
I think the important thing is that the leader must be prepared to learn. The leader is not a know-all, must be prepared to learn, to listen, and to be one with the led. Shouldn't be so above the led that they may remain behind when the leader has disappeared.
Her passing marks the end of an era, but her contributions will forever be etched in Botswana's history. At her funeral, President Duma Boko led the tributes, calling Dr. Chiepe a symbol of courage, integrity, and humility.
We are here today to celebrate, to reminisce, to engage in some nostalgia about what was, is not, could have been, may be. And as they say, nostalgia is a form of mourning. We are nostalgic about that glorious past, that raised luminaries of the stature of the one we are celebrating here today, Chiepe. She has been described as humble, amazingly humble. She was a person of self-effacing humility. And her humility must stand as an abiding lesson to all of us. We ourselves must be humble. We exile humility from our lives when we convince ourselves that we are always right, that the views and viewpoints that we propound are the absolute truth, that any other person who doesn't subscribe to the views that we hold can never be right. Humility impels us to appreciate that even when we believe strongly that we are correct, there's a residual possibility that we may actually be wrong. And so when you approach any setting with an understanding of your own intellectual and other frailties, you cannot but be humble. You cannot but appreciate that the person that you disagree with, that you dismiss so vociferously, could actually either be entirely correct or hold a fragment of the truth. And so you always must step back and reflect on your own views, question them honestly and sincerely, bounce them off against the views of others, regardless of what political formation they come from. In that way, you accord each and every person due respect, not just in rhetoric. And I know always when a person speaks, the moment you hear them say with due respect, know they are about to disrespect somebody. And so I say this with all due diffidence in a matter so sensitive. We must be humble. And we have no excuse not to be humble. When we have such guiding lights as the one we are celebrating here today, who was the very epitome of humility, selflessness, dedication, love of country and its people. We cannot but be humble and realize always that we must mediate all our disagreements and arguments and quarrels with ultimate civility and respect. If we fail and fall short, we would have learned nothing from the life stories and examples of the likes of Mama Chiepe. We would desecrate her memory if we fail to enact the attribute of humility. For those who claim some education, you need to appreciate humility. Hermeneutic humility. This profound appreciation that all the ideas you may have read are ultimately revisable. And you need to allow other ideas to inform, to guide, and always to educate you again and again, so that you unlearn. Because the challenge may in fact not even be learning anything new, as it may be unlearning the dead weight of dogma, doctrine that misleads and results in conceit and arrogance. We are informed and guided by the values, virtues, and the vision of Mama Chiepe, who belongs to us all. She has transcended the barriers and barricades of political affiliation, ethnic origin, familial affinities. She is perched way above those. She belongs to this country. Each and every citizen of this country has links and connections with her that are personal and direct. And so the family, I'm sure, understands that we also lay a claim to her, sometimes even more than you. And well we may, because you gave her to us. You bequeathed her to this nation. So she's this happy bequest to all of us. And we must live our lives every day in her honor and memory.
Failing to enact the aspect of humility would mean failing Dr. Chiepe, who is part of the epic narrative of Botswana, said Boko. He urged the nation to uphold Dr. Chiepe's values, but his remarks sparked mixed reactions when he defended his choice of cabinet ministers, specifically Lesego Chambo, the Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs, one of the youngest members of his administration.
We need context-smashing ideas, context-defying behavior. We need mad people in the world of ideas. We need people who will give us ideas so crazy that they shock our sensibilities. And when we pause and reflect more carefully and thoroughly on them, realize that these are the ideas that will propel this country to greater heights. We need such thinking. And it will come from the sages advanced in age, but it also will come from those marauding energies, talents, and imaginative capabilities of our young people. And we must be prepared to face the criticism and appoint them young as 26 to become ministers. And face the fire. People saying they are not experienced. Where will they get the experience from if we don't fling them into the deep end and help them, work with them? We are not experts ourselves. So we will cast them into the deep and watch them swim with such dexterity. They are always a marvel to watch. And by that we send a message that it doesn't matter how old you are, this country needs you. And the young people need to see that tomorrow they were told they were leaders of has arrived. In fact, it long did. We just didn't recognize and or embrace it. We must live in the future as we live in the present. We must live in the present but not be off it, so that we can then live in the future. Very complex dialectical interchange or interplay.
Dr. Chiepe wasn't just a leader, she was a trailblazer who broke barriers for women and Botswana on the global stage. Botswana's first female cabinet minister in 1974, first Botswana female high commissioner to the UK and Nigeria, ambassador to multiple countries and the European Economic Community, Minister for Trade and Industry from 1977 to 1984, Minister of Foreign Affairs from 1984 to 1994. Minister of Education from 1994 to 1999. She is widely credited with shaping Botswana's education system, advocating for free education and policies that expanded access to learning. Former Permanent Secretary Charles Tibone echoed what many feel today, that Botswana needs leaders like Dr. Chiepe, now more than ever. She was incorruptible. Botswana's ranking as one of the least corrupt countries was a testament to her leadership, said Tibone. His statement comes at a time when Botswana faces increasing concerns over governance, accountability, and political transparency.
If you contrast the work ethic with what is happening in our economy these days, you see chalk and cheese. Botswana appeared comfortable with the categorization that they are a low productivity economy. The mediocrity which Dr. Chiepe shunned so much appears to be the norm. Again, where did we go wrong? Why have we failed to see value in Dr. Chiepe's example? Muruti, the other day at one of the prayers, said, Dr. Chiepe has left a mark. Indeed, she left a mark, a standard. But we appear to be busy erasing that mark. Why? I ask. Dr. Chiepe abhorred corruption. In fact, I can safely say she herself was incorruptible. She spoke against corruption as Minister of State and within the Botswana Democratic Party. In this regard, she was one of the architects of a Botswana which was universally acclaimed as being relatively corruption-free. For many years, Botswana was ranked as the least corrupt country in Africa. Things appear to have changed. We have receded in our rankings. What happened? When did we deviate from the lofty principle which Dr. Chiepe and those of a moral denomination held on to so tenaciously for so many years? The ugly head of corruption is looming larger than our coat of arms in some of the offices. Our public service, which used to be ranked among the best in the continent, has become anemic due to this scourge. When the head of the public service gets convicted of serious corruption and abuse of office, where do you look for solace? There is a crisis. There is need to resolve there is need to restore the level of the bar to where it used to be during the time Dr. Chiepe was active.
So the question remains, will today's leaders rise to her standard? Despite the sadness, Dr. Chiepe's farewell was a celebration of a life well lived. She was not just a politician, she was a role model, a guardian of Botswana's values and a champion for education. As thousands gathered to pay their final respects, one thing became clear: her impact will live on. So SnapFlash fam, what lessons can we learn from Dr. Chiepe's legacy? Is Botswana doing enough to uphold the values she stood for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you were inspired by Dr. Chiepe's story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories that celebrate Botswana's heroes. That's it for now, SnapFlash fam. Stay tuned for more breaking news, and as always, keep questioning and stay informed.